What's up, guys? So today we're going to talk a little bit more about Motorsport Games. Unfortunately, as usual, it's negative stuff. So those of you who are still lemmings that are defending this company or who don't like people, just pointing the truth out about these people, don't watch the video. Have a nice day. So I want to start off by thanking Jay McDonald for sending me this link. I appreciate it. Uh, I'm always grateful to those of you who follow me and actually keep me updated on the latest, news and information. So we're gonna take a look at this, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. So as Jay McDonald adequately states, MSG now killing iRacing. So it's indirect, but it's, pretty much what's happening. It's just a byproduct of Motorsport Games, and it's like a cancer that's spreading. But I'm going to tell you, as much as I blame Motorsport Games, I blame NASCAR and IndyCar and all these other people that thought it was a good idea to give Motorsport Games exclusive licenses, right? If you want to give them a licensing deal, I don't have a problem with that. It's the exclusivity. And you're about to start to understand why exclusivity of a license is a problem. So let me just look at this quick post here. This is from Craig West, who apparently works for iRacing. I'm not sure at what capacity. It just says staff, but it says IndyCar license update. All right. IndyCar license update. Our current license agreement with IndyCar is set to expire on December 31st, 2022. IndyCar has signed an exclusive license with another developer that goes into effect January 1st, 2023. So we all know that this developer is Motorsport Games. I don't understand how anyone could sign with Motorsport Games at this point. So I have to assume, this is just speculation, that this deal was already in place long ago. So we know that Motorsport Games had the IndyCar license deal. But I wasn't aware of how this affected iRacing directly because iRacing had their own license deal. So now we see that it's an exclusive deal. So what must have happened was that they signed the deal with Motorsport Games, and they probably stated that at the end of whatever other licenses, which we see here, they had a license with iRacing. Whenever that expired, that Motorsport Games would become exclusive. So that's all Motorsport Games is interested in. They want to corner the market. They don't want competition. And this isn't like uncommon in the world of video game development, things like that. A lot of developers want exclusive deals. Exclusivity is beneficial to a developer, obviously, because if you don't have competition, then you're the only game in town. So if people want to buy a specific licensed product, they're going to buy it from you because there's no one else that can make it. So I understand why developers want it. I even understand why Motorsport Games did it. It's a smart business decision for them because they don't want competition. So as much as we can get upset about Motorsport Games, hold on a second, let me check something. All right. We can get upset about that, but you can't really blame them because they're doing what's best for their interests. So the people I blame are IndyCar and NASCAR because they're not looking down the road. They're looking at, okay, exclusivity means they can charge more. An exclusive deal is more valuable than just a regular license deal where, let's say you say, okay, we're giving you permission to use our image and content and assets to make a game and represent us, but it's not exclusive. We're going to have deals with other people. You're just going to have to compete, right? In the marketplace. That's just the way it is. So the licensing deal is just giving you permission that, yeah, you can create content using our product or brand, so to speak. But obviously, it's more valuable if you can say, well, we're not only going to give you this license, but it's going to be exclusive, meaning you're not going to have competition because you're the only one that's going to have this deal in place. So you don't have to worry about competition. But you got to pay us more because obviously that makes it more valuable. So NASCAR and IndyCar, what they're looking at is what's the most valuable deal they can strike. The problem is that's an incredibly short-sighted way to do business because to me, it's more valuable if you have multiple people just competing in the marketplace. And even though your slice of the pie is a little smaller, you're getting multiple chances to make money. An exclusive deal gives you a bigger slice of that pie, but there's only one pie. So you're putting all your eggs in one basket. I'm using a lot of food analogies, but hopefully it just makes it easier for people to understand my point. But there's just one fucking pie. So if that pie turns out to be a shitty fucking pie that nobody wants, then even though you're getting a bigger slice of the profit, who cares? It's not selling. And you would have been better off with multiple options for consumers. And if one of those developers are not creating a good product, at least you have others. So to me, it's short-sighted. And if I am NASCAR or IndyCar, I would stay away from these exclusivity deals. But here's what made these deals that much worse. They didn't make these deals with a proven developer or publisher. They went with a startup, unproven developer. Motorsport Games never made anything until they made the disastrous NASCAR 21 Ignition. All of their other licenses, and I have seen articles print like, okay, Motorsport, this is all their games. Like, they don't go the extra step to explain to people these games were already developed outside of Motorsport Games. They just brought them out. They didn't really develop that. And I think that should be a huge part of any article. For anybody that's even talking about Motorsport Games, you have to point that out. That matters because for people that don't know, they'll look at Motorsport Games, and if they're just looking at all of their assets, and they're looking at, oh, look, Kartcraft, that's not a bad IP. I've played that. Oh, that has a good reputation. Or R Factor, right? Say what you want about it. There is a loyal fan base for R Factor. So people might look at that and say, hey, I've heard of R Factor. That's a pretty hardcore sim. That's under Motorsport Games umbrella. So Motorsport Games, yeah, they're not really a bad developer. They made one bad product. So they are trustworthy, but that's not the case. You need to understand that those other assets were developed outside of Motorsport Games. Motorsport Games has nothing to do with building those assets. They may have added DLC and stuff like that. I mean, I don't follow the R Factor side of things, but they did not create R Factor. And R Factor 2 was in existence long before Motorsport Games came on the scene. So, and even with the NASCAR Heat franchise, that's owned by Motorsport Games, and people can look at that and say, well, NASCAR Heat 4 and 5 are decent games, they didn't develop that either. So for NASCAR and IndyCar to make that decision to give these guys exclusivity, and I don't know how long this IndyCar license deal is in effect, exclusive deal with Motorsport Games, but the NASCAR deal is extremely long. It's almost a decade. How do you make a decision like that and not take into account that Motorsport Games has had zero experience? So that's a huge problem, and that's NASCAR dropping the ball. And now you see IndyCar did the same thing. So I know the urge is to blame everything on Motorsport Games. Yeah, Motorsport Games is ruining a lot of shit for people, but they're business wise, they did the right thing. They're trying to corner the market. They're trying to eliminate competition, and they're getting exclusive deals. So they're suckering people, they're conning people into these deals. I don't know how. I don't know what Dimitri Costco tells NASCAR and IndyCar to get them to go along and just give them these exclusive deals without any history of making games. I don't know what he did to get that, but he's a gifted con man, obviously. So that's where we are. Let me read the rest of this. IndyCar has signed an exclusive license with another developer that goes into effect January 1st. As I told you, Motorsport Games. While we are still working on finalizing a new license with IndyCar, it is clear there will be some notable changes to the way we are able to present IndyCar on iRacing. So they're still working on finalizing a new license with IndyCar. So I'm not sure. It says here it's an exclusive license with another developer, but they're still working on finalizing a new license with IndyCar. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. That's above my head because it doesn't make sense to me. They're telling you that there's an exclusive license, which we knew about with Motorsport Games, but how are they still working on finalizing a new license with IndyCar? I guess maybe they can license the vehicles, right? Because iRacing is a simulator and it's not really a video game. And I think maybe there's a loophole where they can work something out for specific content, like maybe specific tracks and cars that they're allowed to have on their service. I'm not really sure what's going on there, so I don't know enough to even speculate. But that is a little confusing. So maybe there's some hope for in iRacing, maybe, because it says they're still working on finalizing a new license with IndyCar. It is clear there will be some notable changes. So yeah, it's probably going to be very limited. Like, okay, you can have the cars. You know, when you're talking about video games and iRacing, they're apples and oranges. As I've told you many times in the past, it's not the same thing, and you're starting to see that here. Um, and maybe there's a loophole there. Like, hey, you could still have the cars, licensed cars and tracks and stuff like that, but iRacing is not a video game. It's not going to go the extra mile that you would probably see in a video game where you have all kinds of presentation and official drivers, right? Because that's a big part of these licenses, that the drivers and even the sponsors, all of these things are tied together, and so to speak. And maybe what iRacing can do is just say, look, it's just the licensed vehicle. Like, people are able to create their own schemes, and we don't supply schemes. So I think that gives them a bit of a loophole. At least that's what I think. But yeah, so let's read on. Yeah, see, it says notable changes to the way we are able to present IndyCar. So I don't know what else can they change. But in either case, there does seem to be some hope. And I really, I mean, that would be disastrous for iRacing because they're not a video game. There's not that all they offer is the ability to race on the track against people or even against AI in licensed cars. That's it. So if they're not able to secure some kind of license with IndyCar to at least at a minimum level, like you see here, that's a problem. And why is that a problem? You might be thinking, well, it's a, if I already pay a subscription, I already bought these cars. So how does that affect me? Well, it affects you, one, if there's future changes and new cars coming out, they may not be able to provide that. That's one. Or two, as you're about to see here, this is another part of this that's really confusing to me. So it says here, most significantly, we will no longer be able to run an official IndyCar branded series, and there will not be an iRacing Indy 500. Yeah, that's pretty big. So running official series, that's out. So it's just going to be one-off races, and I don't know. You will also see the removal of IndyCar Series logo from our sites. That's not the biggest deal to me. Logos, things like that. It's not the end of the world. We plan to continue to support the Dallara race cars. The IR18, DW12, and Dallara IR05. There will be no changes. Unlimited use and racing. In regard to the non-IndyCar series at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for other series, NASCAR, IMSA, etc. Until the new license agreement is finalized, we won't know all of the details, so there may be further changes. So it looks like they are working on something and they feel very confident it is going to be finalized. So it's not going to be like, oh, IndyCar's gone completely, 100%. But there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of limitations. So let's see. Let me look at this. Hold on a second. There was another. No. Okay, let's look at this one because I remember. Here's a link. This is a. Okay. Okay. No. Yeah, that's it. So this is a problem. Exclusivity is a problem, and they really fucked up. IndyCar, they're stuck because I doubt you're ever going to see an IndyCar game from Motorsport Games. We know everything that's going on there. I'm not going to get into all that. I've already covered it. But now they're stuck. They gave these guys an exclusive license. Now, did they, at anywhere in this license agreement, add something like if you don't provide a game by a specific date, the licensing deal is null and void? That would be something I'm interested to know because I don't know the inner workings or the details in these license agreements. I would like to know, um, but I'm curious about that. Or did they fuck up and just give these people a long fucking exclusive deal with no clauses? Like, if you don't have a game by this date, we can void this deal. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm really curious about that. And that the same goes for the NASCAR side of things. I would like to know in detail what that licensing agreement says. Because I would think that NASCAR was smart enough to have clauses in as part of these licensing deals, but so far every move they've made has been incredibly stupid because giving exclusivity to a developer that's never developed a NASCAR game or a video game period was a huge mistake from the get-go. And we have no idea what's going on. NASCAR is silent. They're not saying anything. unless everybody's just waiting for the other shoe to drop and for Motorsport Games to finally just shit the bed. So that's pretty much what's going on. In the description box below, I I'm putting a link to another video I did 3 years ago where I was talking about what a problem these licensing deals were in video game development. And I'm, you know, I without going deep into details, you'll be able to see that once again I told you so. And I was explaining how licensing really hurts game development and why game developers, I'm not talking about iRacing. iRacing's a service. They need license deals because that's all they provide is the cars and tracks, and really it's not a video game. So without licenses, they're in trouble. But in the video game side of things, I've always been an advocate for fantasy-based games. The you can skip through a lot of obstacles that licensing deals you put in your path as a game developer if you just went the fantasy route. And just go check out the video. It's in the link. The link's in the description box, and you'll see that a lot of the things I was talking about 3 years ago, um, I think hold up. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I want to thank Jay McDonald again for sending me the link. And yeah, if there's anything new, I'll talk about it. And I'll see you guys around. I look forward to your comments later.